Do you ever wonder if you've been marked? You survived the spectral sales event. You've seen the haunting results of life consumed by cheap thrills and impulse buys, courtesy of Wally Wimp and the Emporium. Now we move beyond the satire. Tonight we open the door to the true source of that mundane dread. This is the launchpad for a brand new series, Steel Shadows, Visions of Richard Matheson. Across 10 episodes, we will analyze how Matheson's iconic tales, from robot boxers and steel to the road rage paranoia of Duel, directly mirrored the shadows in his own life. We'll explore the real-life trauma of a World War II veteran, the painful losses that informed his domestic horror, and the Hollywood frustrations that fueled his sharpest satire. The fear we confront tonight is more fundamental. It's the realization that you are merely expected to conform, expected to vanish into the relentless pattern of the ordinary. Prepare to venture into the mind of a master, prepare to see the world as Matheson did, where the uncanny twist is never far from the mundane truth. The curtain is up. The shadows are gathering. SL Tonight, Anthology, begins. Good evening, seekers of the inevitable, and welcome to SL Tonight, where we confront the fatalistic horrors of Richard Matheson, the master who crafted 14 novels and 16 Twilight Zone episodes. I'm Felix Lebesky, your host for Steel Shadows, Visions of Richard Matheson, a series celebrating the man whose stories lampoon his career. Cold War paranoia birthing mass destruction, pulp roots evolving into societal critiques. In the 1950s, Matheson was in California, writing for magazines like Fantastic, inspired by Korean War news and his World War II infantry experiences that made him question humanity's self-destructive drive. Lemmings grew from that despair, a tale of people marching into the sea, reflecting his aim to blend sci-fi with commentary on conformity. Published in 1958 in the magazine of fantasy and science fiction, it captures his skill at turning collective madness into a warning. Drawn from Lemming myths and atomic age fears. Behind the scenes, Matheson collaborated with Twilight Zone producers, but this story stayed in pulps, reflecting his frustration with Hollywood's limits on bleak themes. It's a window into what drew him to horror, the fear that society's momentum leads to ruin, a theme that hits home in his post-war life. Let's follow the tide. Here's Lemmings. Where do they all come from? Reardon asked. Everywhere, said Carmack. They were standing on the coast highway. As far as they could see, there was nothing but cars. Thousands of cars were jammed bumper to bumper and pressed side to side. The highway was solid with them. There comes some more, said Carmack. The two policemen looked at the crowd of people walking towards the beach. Many of them talked and laughed. Some of them were very quiet and serious, but they all walked towards the beach. Reardon shook his head. I don't get it, he said for the 100th time that week. I just don't get it. Carmack shrugged. Don't think about it. It's happening. What else is there? But it's crazy. Well, there they go, said Carmack. As the two policemen watched, the crowd of people moved across the gray sands of the beach and walked into the water. Some of them started swimming. Most of them couldn't because of their clothes. Carmack saw a young woman flailing at the water and dragged down by the fur coat she was wearing. In several minutes, they were all gone. The two policemen stared at the place where the people had walked into the water. How long does it go on? Reardon asked. Till they're gone, I guess, said Carmack. But why? You ever read about the Lemmings? Carmack asked. No. The rodents who live in the Scandinavian countries. They keep breeding until all their food supply is gone. Then they move across country, ravaging everything in their way. When they reach the sea, they keep going. They swim until their strength is gone. Millions of them. You think that's what this is? Said Reardon. Maybe. People aren't rodents. Carmack didn't answer. They stood on the edge of the highway waiting, but nobody appeared. Where are they? Maybe they've all gone in. All of them? It's been going on for more than a week, Carmack said. People could have gotten here from all over. Then there are the lakes. Reardon shuddered. All of them, he said. I don't know, said Carmack, but they've been coming right along until now. Oh, God, said Reardon. Carmack took out a cigarette and lit it. Well, he said, what now? Reardon sighed. Us? He said. You go. I'll wait a while and see if there's anyone else. All right, Reardon put his hand out. Goodbye, Carmack, he said. They shook hands. Goodbye, Reardon, Carmack said. He stood smoking a cigarette and watching his friend walk across the gray sand of the beach and into the water until it was over his head. He saw Reardon swim a few dozen yards before he disappeared. After a while, he put out his cigarette and looked around. Then he walked into the water, too. A million cars stood empty along the beach. And that was Lemmings, a story that echoes Richard Matheson's Cold War despair. At 32, Matheson was in Los Angeles scripting for The Twilight Zone, inspired by Korean War reports that made him ponder humanity's blind march to doom. He lampoons his career's war's collective madness extended to society, his pulp roots maturing into warnings of conformity. Writing this in 1958, he drew from Lemming myths debunked as suicide, but symbolizing mass hysteria, aiming to show how crowds follow fatal paths. Behind the scenes, Matheson submitted to FNSF, reflecting his frustration with Hollywood censorship on dark themes like atomic fallout. It's a window into what drew him to horror, the fear that society's momentum overrides individual reason, a theme that deepened with his involvement in civil rights discussions. Richard Matheson, the visionary behind the Lemmings, turned a myth into the nightmare of conformity. The story asks, what drives us over the edge, and can we stop the tide? Join us next time for Steel Shadows, Visions of Richard Matheson on SL Tonight, as we keep unearthing his enigmas. Like and subscribe. Good night.